What is up, guys? My name is Brent Ruiz and welcome back to the YouTube channel. Guys, the AMG GT R is one of the best cars I've ever driven, and in this video we're gonna go for a drive and I'm gonna talk to you guys about my experience so far with this car. The good, the bad, and the very bad. No, actually there's not much bad about this car. Okay, but seriously guys, this car is really good, and I have been having a blast with it the past nearly 3 months that I've owned it so far. So I guess this is going to be like my 3-month review of the car so far, the 2018 AMG GT R, which, like I said in the beginning, this really is one of the best cars I've ever driven, and it has been amazing so far. So that's just kind of your spoiler warning. My overall opinion of this car is very high. Now, if you're new to the channel, my name is Brent Ruiz and I do supercar content here on YouTube. If you like supercars in any way, shape, or form, please consider subscribing to this channel. Give this video a like if you enjoy watching so more people can see it here on YouTube. I'm still in comfort mode, so let's just get all of this boring comfort mode stuff out of the way. The daily drivability of this car, which is one of the main reasons I did buy it. I wanted a supercar that was also daily drivable, and the AMG GT R does that actually really well. For how insane this car is in terms of track performance, a 7-minute 10-second time on the Nürburgring, similar to the 720S, the 600 LT, faster than a Ferrari 488, faster than a Huracan, faster than a ton of supercars out there until you get to the really track-derived variants of them. This car is surprisingly easy to live with on a daily basis. Honestly, I don't like daily drive this car just because I don't have anywhere to go. I don't have a commute, and obviously with the times that we are in right now, I think a lot of people are that way anyway, so I just drive this car like on the weekends. But if I could see myself daily driving this car, having to daily drive it, easy, no problem whatsoever. This car is very comfortable when you're in comfort mode, and even in its stiffest setting, which I'll show you guys later, it is not that bad at all in terms of ride comfort. And in terms of gas mileage, this thing isn't bad at all either. There is a ton of storage space in this car for what it is. Not much here in the front cabin, honestly. There's like some side pockets here on the doors and a pretty good area here in the center console for your phone, your wallet, that kind of stuff. But that rear hatch, there is actually a ton of space back there for pretty much anything. You can even store golf clubs in there. Check out the previous video on my channel where we attended a toy drive, Sarah and I, and we filled the back with toys, and we were so surprised how much could fit back there. So in terms of storage space, A+, I think, for what you're getting in terms of performance. The fact that it can haul around that much stuff, absolutely amazing. Now, the other thing that I really like about this car in terms of a daily driver is the fact that it has a relatively large fuel tank. It has like a 20-gallon fuel tank. That is considerably larger than a lot of other supercars in this segment. 20 gallons. I find myself not having to fill up this car nearly as often as many other supercars that I've test driven, and that's really nice to have. And in terms of the gas mileage itself, this car averages out to about 17 or 18 miles per gallon city highway combined, which isn't that bad at all. So it's pretty nice to have a 577 horsepower car stock from the factory with that 4-liter V8 twin turbo not being too bad at all in terms of gas and emissions. So I've had literally like no complaints in terms of the gas mileage on this car. I never have any type of range anxiety at all. Even when the fuel meter reaches those last 2 or 3 bars here on the gauge, it's not worrying at all. I know there's still tons of range left, and the built-in digital readout of how much range it thinks is left in the tank is very accurate, and it changes depending on which mode you're in and how hard you're driving. So if you're driving hard, the range is going to go down a lot more. That was a comfort mode pull. There is actually a huge difference when you're in comfort mode versus Sport Plus or race mode, which I'll show you guys here shortly when I get to one of the more fun roads up ahead. And in this particular car, it has the Distronic Plus option, which gives you the laser guided cruise control basically. Very nice to have in traffic situations. That is a pretty expensive option though, but if you're actually using this car as a daily driver, I think it's a must-have. Just here in comfort mode, it is really easy to drive. I'm in automatic transmission. I don't have to use the paddles. The auto stop start is on. It hasn't kicked in yet at the stoplight for some reason, but oh, there it goes. Okay. But for those who want to be a little bit environmentally friendly, even though you're driving an AMG GT R supercar, well, there you have it. The auto stop start function is there for you. Now that is one of the first things I turn off whenever I start the car, even in comfort mode, but yeah. Now let's move on to visibility. The visibility here, just looking out of the cabin, is very, very nice because this windshield is not very tall, but it's very, very wide. So you have a ton of room to work with. Now that long front bonnet, I thought it'd be an issue at first because it is very intimidating when you're looking at the car from the outside, just how long that is. But when you actually start driving it, you get used to it very fast. And even like after the first 10 minutes of driving it, I didn't even notice it anymore. So the car is very wide, which has not been an issue for me in terms of parking situations. The turning radius is really nice in this car with that rear wheel steering. The side view mirrors are nice and big. The rear view mirror is not blocked much at all by that rear wing. This car does have blind spot assist. The seats are very comfortable for being more of the bucket style seats. They're not the full buckets that are optional in this car, but these offer a ton of support and a ton of adjustment as well. You can access all your seat controls here on the side, and I think these are 18-way adjustable seats. They have the lumbar and all that. And then up here, there's a very nice button for heated seats. I didn't even realize this car had heated seats. I think it's standard because it's not on the options list. So that's very nice to have, especially in winter conditions. Overall, the interior is just a really, really nice place to be, guys. I mean, it is just lined everywhere with this leather and Alcantara. And if it's not leather or Alcantara, it's carbon fiber. So you have a lot of this matte carbon fiber trim in here. It just looks really, really cool. And it's a very special, it feels special whenever you get inside of here. And that is something that you really want to have when you're driving a car that costs $200,000. Now, I just looked at the odometer, which I never really look at. I have to go to a certain screen to look at it. And I cannot believe this, but I've already put 3,000 miles on this car in less than 3 months. Wow. And I don't even daily, okay, I gotta stop driving this thing, holy crap. So that kind of brings up one thing that I hate about this car, which I also love about this car. I think it would be something that I hate much more if I bought this car new, but the depreciation on these cars is absolutely horrible. I bought this car used 2 years later, basically brand new, for $60,000 off. That's how much the original buyer of this car lost by basically just driving it 600 miles. That's what I bought this car with in 2 years. He bought it for $200,000 and I bought it for $135,000 2 years later. So I saved a lot of money. He lost a ton of money, but depreciation, a good and bad thing about these cars. So what exactly have I done to this car so far? I was considering making the wheels black from the get-go, but I've kind of fallen in love with the silver look with the green paint. And I think I'm gonna keep it that way for a little bit because I have seen a couple other green ones with black wheels, and I feel that the wheel design really gets lost when the wheels are black. They kind of mesh with the tire and you don't really see the wheel design. So I like the silver look for now. I'll probably change it later, but it's gonna work out for now. Now, the other thing I have done was clear brawing the front end. The full front end has clear braw, a definite must on this car to protect that $10,000 option green hell magno paint, which looks absolutely glorious. That's one of my favorite parts about this car. I would not have this car in any other color. Maybe solar beam yellow, that would be pretty cool actually, but the green hell magno, absolutely amazing, especially in the sun. It looks so, so good. Now, the other thing I've done on this car so far is a tune, which I did with HD Tuning here in Southern California. And holy crap, guys, the power output gain that you get just from a 20-30 minute laptop flash of the ECU in this car, the gains you get is insane. Like, this car is a whole different animal with just the tune. I haven't even put downpipes on it, but I am guessing modestly that I gained about 70 wheel horsepower. I am really thinking that this car is at 660 horsepower, up from 577 stock. and I have yet to put the downpipes. Matt at HD Tuning also gave me a little bit more crackle, some more burbles to have a little bit more fun with, which is going to be, I think, too insane when I add the downpipe, so I might have to tune this down. I think it's just gonna be a little bit too insane, a little bit too obnoxious, but I'm gonna see how it sounds at first, and then I'll probably have to take it back to HD Tuning to tune down the burbles, the amount of burbles. I really prefer a burble tune that gives you less but louder burbles instead of like the machine gun popcorn machine burbles that a lot of the cars have, which this car does have right now. But overall, I'm really excited to do the next mod on this car, which is going to be installation of the downpipes. I think that's going to be giving me a little bit more power in conjunction with this tune, and obviously a lot more sound, which I'm so excited to see what this car is going to sound like with the downpipes on. Okay, so I've been in comfort mode this entire time, which I honestly never ever do. The first thing I do when I turn this car on is put it into race mode, which I am always in. I use the paddles. It's just a lot more fun to drive this car that way, which I'll do that right now. And we're gonna see immediately the exhaust valves open up, and we're gonna be able to hear that burble tune as well. Let's see. It's alive! Get into manual. Everything is into its most aggressive setting, except traction. I still have race traction on. And it's just a whole different car. Like, there's that burble tune I was talking about. Even that. Yeah, this thing is ridiculous. That tune really did so much for this car. I thought this car was like perfect from the factory with the 577 horsepower, 516 pound-feet of torque, and the sound, the exhaust note sounds really good from stock. But man, this tune that HD Tuning did really has woken it up a lot, and I am really glad that I did that. So now that we've reached a little bit more of a fun road here, drive it a little bit more hard and talk to you about a few things that I love about this car. Number one, the handling. This has to be one of the best handling cars I have ever driven in my entire life. It is up there with the likes of some of the best full-blown supercars I've driven, like the 720S. I really raved about how good of a turn-in the 720S had. This thing is just as good. It is ridiculous what AMG Mercedes did with a car that's this heavy, being able to drive this well. It is really, really surprising, and I don't know how they did it, because this car weighs 3,600 pounds and it drives like it weighs 3,000 pounds. I do not know how they pulled that off, but it is a blast to drive, especially on canyon roads and the track. The way that this car not just pulls out of the corners, but the way that you can actually, this is one of the few cars that you can actually brake while turning, and it'll work. It'll actually work better than not. And that has a lot to do with the way that they set up the rear wheel steering in this car. It's something that you really have to experience to know what I'm talking about, but I can only imagine how amazingly well this car is going to be on the track, and I have already lined up a few track days, which I am so excited for. So stock, these cars come with Michelin Cup 2 tires, which are doing work. Oh my God. I really thought that a tune might impact how safe the car feels to drive. I think the tune is actually perfect when it comes to the level of power that it gives you, because I did not want to make something that was really too like undrivable, especially on roads like this. I have to say that obviously the handling performance, the driving capabilities of this car is my #1 favorite part of it, and I'm so glad that I went with this thing. it has been an absolute blast to drive. And like I said, 3,000 miles that I've put on this car, I cannot believe it. It has been on mostly roads like this since I don't daily drive this car. I don't have the commute. I don't take it like anywhere other than like to car events and to canyons like this. So yeah, it has been a really, really special car. But since I'm singing all these praises about it, let's talk about the things I don't like about this car, which there are a few actually, but they're mostly nitpicks as you might imagine. Number one, it's something that has to do with the safety features of this car. Collision assist in this car is highly, highly annoying. I drive this car very hard and I drive a lot with other cars. So collision assist comes into play when the computer thinks that you're going to hit another car in front of you. And when you're doing late braking and braking hard and there's another like car in front of you, even though you're in full control, if the computer thinks you're gonna hit it, it's going to activate the collision assistance or whatever they call it, that feature where it gives you a beep kind of warning you that you might crash. And if it really thinks that you're actually going to crash, it'll buckle up, it'll like tighten the seatbelt insanely hard. Like it'll do that to you. It'll pull you back into your seat like that, like you're almost wearing a harness. It is really kind of scary the first time that it did it, because I didn't know what the heck was going on. And wow, there's actually snow up here now, so yeah, gotta be careful. Wow, there's actually a lot of snow, okay. So it's happened actually a ton of times now, just because that's just the way that I drive with these on these supercar cruises and whatnot. That's just the way that everyone drives. It's actually cold enough that everything is fogging up on me now, so that's gonna be interesting. And I have a very low fuel tank, so hopefully I don't get stranded up here. So yeah, the collision assist is definitely something pretty sketchy, and I don't know if there's a way to get rid of it. I think it has to be tuned out, because it is something obviously that is in the car for safety reasons, and I don't think that stuff is very easy to get rid of, even like trying to tune it out. So I'll have to do more research on that, but I have to say that whenever it does happen, it really feels like you're harnessed into the car. So I actually have come to, kind of enjoy it, and it really gives you that like race car feeling, like you're on the track, you have your harnesses on. It is pretty cool. But yeah, the other thing I'm not a particular fan of in this car is the placement of the drive selector mode thingy here. It is way back here, where in most cars in this day and age, they place it up here, like where your stick shift would be for easier access. But no, in this car, you really have to reach back here to change it from like reverse to park to drive, whatever, neutral. Obviously not a big deal for that, more of a nitpick, but not the best placement for the drive selector module. Other things I don't really like about this car, the door, shutting the door has been kind of finicky. You really have to slam the door shut for it to properly close, which I'll show you guys right now. It has been actually a bigger issue on the passenger side door. So whenever Sarah gets in and out, she usually has to do it twice, because you really do have to slam it. So I don't know if that's a build quality issue or just how all of these cars are, but yeah, you definitely have to do it very, very firmly for it to close properly. Now, another thing that I do not like about this car, which is not a problem with the car itself, it's mostly a problem with me, being a shorter guy and having a steering position where I really like a very aggressive steering position. I've seen some people driving these cars and they have their arms out like this. That is not the proper steering position, guys. You have to have a more bent elbow to have a proper steering position. So for me, being a shorter guy, I have to really be up in the seat and have the steering wheel, pretty close to my body. I need to have the steering position, the steering wheel more lower down here. So I have it at the lowest setting in terms of its adjustment, which means that it blocks out some of the vital information on the gauge cluster here, which it blocks out some very, very importantly vital information, including my speed and which gear I'm in. I have tried using and playing with different screens here on the gauge cluster, but I cannot find one that has like the speedometer and the gear that I'm in on the lower part of the screen, which really sucks. So it's a good thing that I have my radar detector right here, which shows my speed, which I am looking at this radar detector more than my gauge cluster for the speed that I'm going. In terms of the gear that I'm in, I have just gotten used to the car, honestly, and not the best, but I have to live with that. Being a shorter guy, it is just something I've experienced this with the other cars too. So it's not like this is the first one. But yeah, that is pretty much, I think, the end of the list of things that I'm not too big of a fan of in this car. Something I won't show you in the video today, but trust me, it is really, really good. The speaker system in here, absolutely amazing. We've tried some heavy bass tracks in here, and the bass, the subwoofers that they give you in this car, it's incredibly good. Obviously not the best for weight savings, but when you're in a car that is able to give you an amazing daily drivable experience in conjunction with that track performance, those speakers definitely do go a long way. I've been on a couple rallies already with this car. It is really nice to have a really good speaker system for those highway drives. The traffic, all that stuff is just kind of canceled out by being able to be in a cabin like this, a luxurious cabin, and you're able to enjoy a long journey back home with a good speaker system in comfort mode with an adjustable suspension system. You have all of your creature comforts with the technology in here, and it is just a really nice place to be. Now, this car does actually get a good amount of attention on the road too. Obviously, a lot of that has to do with the color of the car. If this car was black or silver or gray or white, it would not get as much, but the color of this car with the look, the silhouette of this car, how wide it is, that aggressive stance on the road makes this car look so special, so menacing, I think is the word. And it is definitely not something you see every day. This color, like think of the last time you were out on the road. How many green cars at all did you see? In terms of a color for a car, any car, not even mentioning supercars, is pretty rare by itself. So seeing the color of this matte green, that color shifts in the sun a bit out on the road in conjunction with this aggressive body style on this car makes it look so good, so menacing, so special. Definitely not something that you see every day. So I gotta say that the look of this car rolling on the road, oh my god, it is a sight to behold. The sunlight is quickly leaving us, guys, so I have to wrap up now. But past 3 months with the AMG GT R has been an absolute dream, an absolute blast, and I could not imagine myself getting any other car than this one. Very, very happy with my decision, and obviously a few nitpicks here and there. Nothing major, but overall, everything is canceled out. Anything you might not like about this car is canceled out by the way that this thing drives, and I cannot wait for the first track day in the 2018 AMG GT R coming in January. So if you want to see that, if you want to see more supercar content, my 458 is almost done. Yes, it's true, my transmission is apparently fixed. It's being glued back together as we speak and being put back into the car this week, or at least that's what they tell me. So we'll see if that holds up, but I am so excited to bring you more content with not just this car, but the 458. That's gonna be a lot of fun. It's been too long. It's been way too long, guys. I'm so sorry, and I appreciate you guys being patient for the review of that car. It's been a nightmare, honestly. I'll make a video about that later, but overall, that's it for this one, guys. If you enjoyed watching, please give it a like, subscribe to the channel. Happy New Year to everyone. Have a great holiday, and I will see you in 2021. Deuces!